So much going on. We need clarity from CBS 4's Jim DeFede, who joins us in the studio.
So Jim is going to offer some analysis and perspective, as he always does, on what's been a big day of post-election drama. So, Jim, you've seen the protesters, you've heard the allegations of voter fraud, but is there any evidence of corruption, or is this just incompetence?
So I think Carrie Codd had the real news element, which probably should have led this show and every show, which is the Florida Department of Law Enforcement says they are not conducting a criminal investigation because they've checked and there are no allegations of fraud. Matt Gaetz, the congressman, those protesters outside the Broward elections headquarters, they can yell and scream as much as they want. They can chant, lock her up. But until there is actual evidence of wrongdoing, you know, this is a level of vitriolicness that I haven't seen in a while. And what's troubling to me is that we are, you know, I realize the news moves so fast, but it was just 2 weeks ago that we were covering stories about the hyper-partisan nature of our politics turning so sour that people were sending mail bomb packages from a facility just a few miles from where they're now protesting. So I think everyone needs to take a step back. They are conflating two different things. There is one, the question as to whether or not Brenda Snipes is moving fast enough to process the ballots. Why is Broward County slow compared to the other 66 counties in the state? That's a valid question. But to make the leap from is she slow to is she corrupt, you know, is a huge leap, and I think that's where this discussion tends to go off the rails.
Now, some would argue that the tone was set by Governor Scott last night in that news conference he had outside, or the statement rather, outside the governor's mansion. But you've spoken to Senator Marco Rubio, and what's his take on this? So
Senator Rubio was an early individual who came out trashing Brenda Snipes, trashing the Broward Elections Office, and raising a number of conspiracy theories as to what was going on within the Elections Department. Now, we talked about a lot of things. We'll have more of it on my show on Sunday. But one area in particular, I just thought it was really telling. He had put out a tweet saying that the lawyers, the Democratic lawyers, are here to steal the election. So I asked him about that. Let's hear what he said. Do you believe Democratic lawyers are trying to steal this election?
Well, the answer is yes, and I'll explain to you why. As far as the lawyers are concerned, that's what election lawyers are here for. Election lawyers, if you have a Republican let's say a Republican hires an election lawyer, you don't hire an election lawyer to make sure every vote is counted. Election lawyers come down for the purpose of making sure every vote on behalf, or likely to be on behalf of your candidate, is counted, and frankly, to try to disqualify as many voters as possible who are likely or did vote for the other candidate. And so elections should not be decided by who hires the best lawyers or the most persuasive lawyers. And that's where we're headed because of the incompetence and malfeasance of the Broward Election Department and Brenda Snipes.
Now, one of the things I asked Marco Rubio was whether or not, if this history of incompetence that some people have documented has been in place, why Governor Scott didn't remove her previously. He said, that's a good question, maybe we should answer it. It's only now, I think one thing we need to sort of keep in mind, which is Florida has close elections. A close election does not mean a fraudulent election. The last two governor's races were decided by 60,000 votes. This one is going to be decided by 30-something thousand votes. We have close elections in Florida. We are a down-the-middle state. That does not mean there's fraud.
Okay. We're going to have to buckle up. If today's any indication of what's going to happen when this is announced on Saturday and we have recounts,
we're going to have recounts.
It's going to be a long process. All right.
Far from over.
Yes.
Thank you, Jim. And you can watch Jim's entire interview with Marco Rubio and so much more Sunday morning on Facing South Florida at 8:30.